Okay, this is going to be a short tutorial. We're going to talk about how to do your blind bid waivers. Alright, so to get to your blind bid waivers, on the left side of your page you have this add player button. Alright, don't get confused, this will also take you to the waiver wire claim system when you can do those claims, but that's not what we're doing right now, so let's not confuse matters. This is the blind bid process. Alright, and what we're going to do is we're going to create several blind bids, and right now we have none. And what we're going to do is we're going to select somebody to pick up. In this case, we're going to pick up Amir Abdullah. Of course, we wouldn't really do that, and we're going to bid $5. We're going to drop Darren Sproles. Okay, so you can choose who you want, the dollar amount, who you're going to drop. Keep in mind that the system at this level does not check to see if it's a valid bid. Make sure you have the cap room to make it, otherwise it won't go through. So we're going to add this to our list right here, and now he's on the list. And to save this, we click right here, save bids. You can also make comments to yourself if you want right here. Save bids. That's great, thanks guys. Alright, so now we've created a group. Okay, see how it says group 1, group 2. Group 2 doesn't have a link because group 2 is empty. Now it does because we're on group 1. So let's go back to group 1. So here's our list. We've created one group. Okay, now how you set up your groups exactly is up to you. But one thing that's very important to keep in mind is off your group, you're only going to get one player. So usually how I set up my groups, and how most people, how this system really is meant to be set up to really help you with is, okay, so I'm thinking of this group in terms of I want to drop Darren Sproles. So who am I going to pick up in his place? Well, now I've added up Amir Abdullah. I'm going to add one more person who's also a running back, and I'm just going to pick somebody here. Sure, Peyton Barber. And we're going to bid, say, $4. We're going to drop Darren Sproles. Add to the list. Alright, and then we're going to save our bids again. Now again, we only have one group. We just modified the one group that we had by adding a new player to it, or a new bid to it. So here's our group 1. Here's what it looks like. So when it's our turn to bid, if nobody else has bid at this point, we would be putting up Amir Abdullah for $5 and trying to drop Darren Sproles, because when it comes our turn, the system looks at each of our groups. Since we've only got one, it's going to look at the top listed player on the group, regardless of how much their bid is, or excuse me, yeah, the top listed player on each group, and then the highest bid on the top listed player is going to go. So right now it's not going to look at our second person here, this Peyton Barber. This bid for $4, as far as the system is concerned, it doesn't exist while this first bid exists. And if we get Amir Abdullah, then this group is dead. We don't get anyone else out of this group. It won't look at it anymore. So we're going to create a second group here. Okay, and on this second group, we're going to bid for some wide receiver. We're going to bid $8, and we're going to drop Deshaun Jackson. We're going to add this to the list. Okay, Kamar Aiken. I'm going to save that. Okay, this is our group 2 now. Okay, click on 2. So group 2, we've got now two groups, group 1 and group 2. It shows group 3. Group 3 is empty. Okay, so now when it's our turn to bid on a player, if both of our groups are just like this, We've got a $5 bid on the prior group, so the top player on the list, there's only one player on this list, this bid would go off first, not the other one, even though this is group 2. Why? This is an $8 bid. The top listed player on group 1 is a $5 bid, so the $8 bid takes precedence. So if it's our turn, the $8 bid goes. Now, what happens if it's somebody else's turn? Well, if they put up, let's say Matt Asiata for a bid, well, it's now going to look at everybody else's groups, and it's going to look at the top available bid. Well, we don't have a bid for Matt Asiata on our top player on group 1, and we don't have a bid for Matt Asiata on our top player on group 2, so we won't be bidding on him. The system would ignore us, would look at all the other bids and award Matt Asiata wherever he's going. We don't care. But let's say somebody else puts up Kamar Aiken for a bid, and let's say they put that person up on their bid, it's $5, right? So now it's going to look at all the top players on each of our groups. Now in our first group, we don't have any, the first bid is for Amir Abdullah, so it ignores that one, but it looks at this one and says, oh, this is Kamar Aiken, top player on this list, and it's an $8 bid. So now he's our player at $8. Compares all the other groups, top players on anybody else's groups, and if anybody else has a bid for Kamar Aiken, of course it would look at that, and then it's going to get awarded to the top player, or there are tiebreakers if the bid ends up tied. Um, so um, so what we want to do when we're setting up our groups is if we want to prioritize getting Amir Abdullah, well, it's not going to happen because of the higher priced bid over here. So we have to think about that, about what order things are going to take place in. Of course, most of the time, there's 12 teams, so you're going to get one bid in, and then the other 11 teams all have a chance. So more often than not, you're not going to be the person putting up the bid. So that's how you have to think of how your groups are going to be structured, is how are my groups going to react when other players put up their bids. That's the key to look at. And so just remember, the top player on your list and the top dollar amount determines, or when it's somebody else's bid, the top player on your group, the top player on the list for your group is the player that the system's going to be looking at. It's not going to be looking at anybody else on your group. So like, here's something that you don't want to do. What you don't want to do is you don't want to make like these stepped kind of bids like I think some people have tried to do in the past. This will not work. Okay, so now we've got on our group 2, we've got 2 bids, but it's for the same player. Both are for Kamar Aiken. The first one's for $8, second one's for $5. Okay, this is not going to sneaky you bid and get you Kamar Aiken for $5. Okay, because if it's your turn and this group is active, then you're going to be putting up the $8 bid. So you're going to be bidding $8. If somebody else puts up Kamar Aiken to bid, it's going to be looking at the top active bid on your list. In this case, again, it's the $8 bid, not the $5 bid. So let's say we switch that around. Let's switch that around. Okay, so now the $5 bid is at the top and the $8 bid is at the bottom. So now it's your turn, and if you're, the whole point I think most people do when they're trying to do this is they're like, oh, I want to bid $5, but if somebody else bids $6, then I want to bid $8. Okay, well, it doesn't work that way. Okay, this is not a proxy bid. So what happens here is if somebody else puts up Kamar Aiken, and let's say they bid $6 on Kamar Aiken, okay, and it's going to look at the top active bid on each of your lists, and for you that's going to be this $5 bid. So it's going to say, oh, you have a bid for Kamar Aiken, but it's only $5. It's a valid bid. It doesn't come down here to this next bid. It doesn't do that. It's looking at the top valid bid. So now it goes on, and you don't get Kamar Aiken because it looks at your $5 bid and he bids $6 and you lose, right? But you're thinking you're going to get him for $8, but you're not, because this bid isn't active yet. So now that Kamar Aiken has been gone to the other player, well, This bid is no longer a valid bid, and neither is this one. So this group is now shot, and you didn't get Kamar Aiken, and it didn't work the way you thought it was. So if you want Kamar Aiken, just bid the $8, because like I said, putting it this way is not going to work. Okay, so that's how you do it. And then okay, so that's how you put up your groups. To delete your groups, just highlight your list, the transaction in your list, remove it from the list, remove it from the list, and then save it. Boom, group 2 is gone. It's a blank group. When you click on group 1, you'll see the link, but that's, like I said, group 2 is blank. There's nothing there. And again, go back to group 1. You can delete it as well. Just again, highlight the transactions, remove from list, remove from list. Oop. Make sure you save it. If you don't save it, it's still going to be there. Okay, I haven't saved it yet, so click on group 2, go back to group 1. Oh, it's still there. I didn't save it, so remove from list, remove from list, save it. And once again, I have no blind bids. Alright, so that's how you do your blind bids. There you go, guys.